I'm Gavin Strachan. I've been asked by the guys at Football DNA just to answer some questions that you have sent in regarding coaching and some of my experiences in it. I don't claim to be an expert, but if anything that I can get across might help anyone in just the slightest bit, then hopefully it'll be worthwhile. First question the guys wanted to ask me was, how did I get into coaching and why? So I knew my sort of football career, playing career, was coming to an end, and I started to think what I wanted to do, and I set up a little soccer school for kids aged sort of 4 to 14 really, and did it for 2 years. Probably didn't make any money out of it, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing the buzz that the kids get from running around, from making friends, from learning new things, from keeping fit. And what that really did was it really improved my organisational skills, because if you're not organised with kids of that age, they can tear you apart really. So that was my first experience, and then it just developed from there really. But when I look back, I'm glad I didn't go straight from playing right into maybe a first team management job or what have you. So this grounding, that 2 years of really struggling, sort of, if you like, financially, and but when I look back, it was really worthwhile, because it was an excellent grounding into coaching. The next question was, as a coach, how do I look to develop myself? I think I take the attitude whereby I'm always learning. So every day I'm looking at ways to improve myself. Every football match that I watch, is there a tactical element I can improve myself? I like to try and go and watch as many coaches as I possibly can at different age groups. I like to go and watch guys working at first team management. I like to go and watch first team coaches. I like to go and watch reserve coaches. I like to watch youth coaches. I take the attitude that the second that I think that I know everything is when I'm in trouble. So I think being open-minded, constantly open-minded, constantly questioning yourself, constantly questioning how you believe, looking at different methods, I think it's so important. So that's my outlook on how I develop myself. I try and go on as many courses as I possibly can. I try and keep abreast of the tactical trends that are going on. So I think that's my outlook on it. And so what advice would I give to a coach just starting in the game? Try things. Find an environment where you can try things, where you can make your mistakes. Don't play safe. Try and avoid as much as you can of getting sessions off the internet exclusively. Try creating your own. Try and start with a topic and see if you can come up with a warm-up, maybe a passing exercise, maybe a possession, maybe a phase of play, a function, a small-sided game that are all based around that topic. So you're putting sowing the seed, if you like, into the player's mind of what they're going to be working on, and that is a theme all the way through the training session. I see a lot of neat and tidy training sessions with not much knowledge and not much sort of things for the players. I do see a bit of a worrying trend where the coaching is all about the coach rather than the players. I think we have to fundamentally believe that it is all about the players. It's not about the coach. It's not about the coach's ego. So I would try and remember that. And as I said, find an environment, make your mistakes, try and be creative, but not too fancy. Try and keep it, again, all about the players. And the other thing I would say is log all your training sessions. There's quite a lot of software tools out there. I did it when I started sort of managing Peterborough's youth team a good few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I made the decision then that I was going to log every training session that I've done, and now I'm really thankful because I've got a database of training sessions that I can always go back to and modify. That's the other thing, if you can modify your training session to achieve a certain outcome, then great, do that. But that would be my advice on that. So the main factors I consider when planning a training session are what players are having in the session, obviously. What's their favoured position, certainly at first team level. What position do they play? And obviously different as the younger players, then that position might not have been attained yet, or we're still trying them in different positions, which is absolutely great. I think, as I sort of hinted at earlier, I think of what is the end game. I'll kind of work backwards. What do I want to get out of the session? What is it? Is it a transition exercise? So if that's the main key that I want to get, the main topic I want to get out of it, I'll work backwards. I'll then try and do the building blocks of the training session to really focus their mind on that. So can I do, like I said, a technical warm-up exercise which is based around transition and their reactions? Can I then take that forward again into maybe a passing receiving exercise? Can I take it into possession exercise? Can I get small-sided games with conditions? Even if I'm doing positional specific work, can I keep it that sort of theme? So we'll then look at that. I'll look at the distances, and again, that'll be based on their ability as players. And that's how I do it. I tend to work backwards from what I want the end result to be, and then bring it back. So the building blocks of it, really. So I've worked at different levels. I've worked at coaching under 18s players and 23 players, and also first team players. So a lot of people ask, well, what are the differences between the two? I think obviously the main one is that at first team level, whilst I always want to work on developing the player, it's far more results based, whereas working with 18s, I still want to get across them that ultimately it's about winning, but it's far more a learning and a developing sort of atmosphere. I can spend a lot more time developing the player working with under 18s, and I think it's very important that we still you're still at that age under 18s, you're kind of helping to mould young people as well as football players. So was really big on values and manners and being a good teammate and having respect. So that was really apparent. But no, I think that the biggest one is to really focus on the development of an under 18, and there's all an education comes into it as well. Although I try to remain true to that sort of principle of, even though first team level it's ultimately about results, but I think you have to make the time to try and cultivate an environment of improvement and developing the players as well, because I thoroughly believe that if that's your environment and that's how you go about, then the results will come as a result of that. So what does the role of an assistant manager entail? I think it varies from what manager you're working with. My role is really one that I try and take as much pressure off the manager as I can. I try and we will collaborate on training session ideas. We'll collaborate on team selection. I'll just try and provide a bit of clarity for him as well, and maybe sometimes just an alternate view. I think it's really important that the main thing is that there is a real solid connection between the assistant manager and the manager. I've heard horror stories of assistant managers, saying things to players which undermines a manager, and I think as soon as that happens, the relationship doesn't work, and the environment and the culture of the club is seriously in question. So absolute loyalty is the biggest thing. I also think it's important that from the assistant manager's perspective is that you gain the respect of the players, and that you're not just balls and bibs or what have you. You have to gain the respect of the players by the training sessions that you put on, the knowledge that you have, and the way you treat your players. So that's the way I look at it. But I think the main thing is ultimate loyalty and gaining the respect of the players. So who are the best players that I've coached? I've been fortunate to coach some really, really good players who've gone on to have excellent careers. Dwight Gale, Son Belonga, Lee Tomlin, George Thorne, briefly. They would probably be the best players in terms of most high profile. But there's also the players that you've enjoyed coaching the most, the players that you've got the biggest buzz out of developing, the ones who just made your job easy because of how they conduct themselves every day. I think of James Coppinger at Doncaster Rovers, who's the ultimate professional. I think of Andy Butler at Doncaster Rovers, who I take a lot of pride in that. Sometimes you have preconceived ideas about players, and I thought that Andy, before I went to Doncaster, was just head it and kick it centre half. But I was pleasantly surprised how fit he was, how professional he was, how he wanted to improve, and how he did improve over the few years that we had him. He became very, very composed in possession. He added extra dimensions to his game, just because even at that older age, into his 30s, he was still very open-minded and very keen to improve. John Markus was an excellent player, and he was a challenge to coach John, because he's a very, very passionate, very intense individual, and sometimes that could get the better of him at times, sometimes to the detriment of the training session. So as a coach, I had to you had to think, well, how do you deal with this player? How do you get the best for him, keep him developing, but also maintain the standards of the other players and keep them focused as well. So John Markus again was a very, very good player to coach, because he was so intense, so keen to improve. Standards were so high. So I've been fortunate to coach a lot, and there's different ones for different reasons. Next question: my main striker struggling to score goals. How do I improve his confidence? So regular things that we'll do when we work on sort of position specifics, and if your striker is in this rut, if you like, and it happens a lot with strikers that they are confidence-based players. I would just strip it right back. I would have them scoring from close range into empty goals, lots of repetitive exercises, and build up the confidence that way. So he's just getting into the habit of hitting the back of the net again, from near post runs or just in the centre of the box, just simple layoff, take on a mannequin, hit the back of the net. Then I would probably look to increase the difficulty as the days went by, maybe a little bit, and maybe I still wouldn't have a goalkeeper in. Maybe I just put poles in on certain target areas that he's got to hit. So the same exercises, but this time we're putting poles in where he's just getting a little bit more difficult. And then as the week goes back, if it was Saturday to Saturday, I would then look at bringing a goalkeeper into it, and just being really positive, just get them to refocus on the basics. Even with the close range finishing, a lot of the time they start to look at the goal rather than the ball. So just concentrate on the technique of the connection, and again work close to the goal, and then as they start getting better, you just work back a little bit.